Hey there, so I'm going to teach you some of the basics of coding. And to do this, it's a good idea to do something actually interesting. And in our case, we're going to be downloading a program called Greenfoot. And this program allows us to code very basic to more complex video games using the language of Java. So, head over to this URL and grab the appropriate Greenfoot. What we can do is go into scenario and say new Java scenario. And today we're just going to call this my first program. And don't worry about my name, I made a mistake while I was setting up my computer, and now I can't change it as far as I know. So, we're going to save that, and it'll open it up. For me, it opened it up on a new screen. So here we go. This is my first program. And as you can see, we have a couple of buttons on the bottom, which is act, run, and reset. We'll learn what these do later. And then, kind of most importantly, we have these on the right-hand side. And so what we have is world, and under world, we have a thing called my world. And then we also have another separate thing called actor. And all of these are what we call in Java as objects. And in Java, you separately code object. So first we're going to create an actor. So this is what is going to move around in the world. So most of our classes, which is a file, are going to be inside of this actor class. So we're going to go ahead and create an actor. Right click on actor, and we're going to say new subclass. We're going to call this the player, or whatever you want to call it, but this is what we're going to be controlling. And you can pick any kind of image that you want, and this will be what you control. So I'm actually going to control a turtle. So now we have a player named Turtle, and when we click on this and press Shift, and click, we can put them in the world. So that's pretty cool. We press run, doesn't do anything, act, doesn't do anything, reset, and actually it gets rid of it. So what I want to happen is I want this turtle to be in my world when I press reset. So what we do is we go into the my world class and then double click to open it up, and we have our my world class open right here. Don't pay any attention to anything that is not in here for now. I press Control Space here, and what we have is an option menu. And within this option menu, we have plenty of different things that we can do. And you can look at each of these, and it'll tell you what happens when you use this, what they're called, method. So, for example, get width. It gets you the width of the world, number of cells. So in this case, it would be 400 or 600. It would be 600. So I'm going to type A, Control Space, and then I'm going to look at the information for adding an object. So we add an actor to the world, which, if you remember, our player is an actor. And then we have int, which is an integer as a number, and we have to specify two of them. So we have to say the x coordinate of the location where the actor should be added and the y coordinate. I'm going to add the object, and for now I'm just going to say object, just for the time being, and then I want to put them in right in the middle of our world. So we have up here 600. We can say 600 over 2. and 400 over 2. But we get little squiggles here, and this is what we call a compiler error because it tells me what to do. We say cannot find symbol variable object. So we don't know what exactly this thing called object is. So we need to tell it. We're going to go into that. We're going to open this up as well so we can look at our player and our world. So we're going to create a new player object. It's a player. This has to match that. Player object or actor or P or anything. It can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to say P equals new because we're creating a new player. Whoops, I guess it didn't tell me. There we go. So we're creating a new player, and this has to match that. So now if we put in P here and save, we're not going to have any errors in our class. And if we open up our world, press reset, there's our turtle right in the middle. Okay, so let's explore what we can do with our player act. Do whatever the player wants to do. This method is called whenever the act or run button gets pressed in the environment. Add your code here. So let's look at what we can do. I'm just going to give myself a little more space again. We can do so many things, and you can look at what each one does. But what I'm looking for is something called move. The actor, it gets moved in move this actor in the specified distance in the direction it is currently facing. And it also helps you. You can say you can set the rotation of the actor if you want. Distance, the distance to move in cell units. Negative value will move backwards. And it's pretty much the same as this is what it's showing us, but for now we're just going to use the move. Move a distance of 1. End the line with a little semi-bracket, semicolon, and then if I press act, it runs this code. Or if I press run, it continuously presses the act button for me. And then he'll run as far as he can. We press reset, and he can do it again. We can make him move faster. So if we wanted to move it 10, fast guy, fast for a turtle. And we can actually make it move slower, but this is a little bit trickier because we're already at 1. How can we make him move slower than the slowest speed? Well, we need a little variable, and we're going to put this variable in the white space. And you'll see that if we continue this here, we have one area of yellow and we have white space. So I'm going to say we're going to create an integer, and we're going to call it a movement, and we're going to set it to 0. So then we're going to say if, this is how code works in Java. We say a bunch of conditional statements, and if this in here is true, then we're going to do stuff if it's true. This is super important here. You have to open a bracket, a little squiggle bracket, whatever you want to call it, and then if you go right over to the end here and down, it has to be closed. If I forgot this, you'll see all my colors got messed up, and I get a little error here, reached the end of the file while parsing, and that doesn't make any sense to anyone, but you add this bracket in, and everything works. And you can also tell, because when I click a bracket, it tells me which bracket it relates to. So I have 1 2, 3 open brackets, and I have 1, 2, 3 closing brackets. These have to be equal no matter what. So our condition is going to be if movement is equal, so we don't use 1 equal sign, we use 2, and we say if movement is equal to 3, then we're going to move him. Move by 1. We can get rid of this here because we're going to move. So if we run this right now, the turtle won't move because movement is always going to be equal to 0. However, we can actually change that. Just getting rid of that line here. So we say movement equals movement plus 1. So now the turtle, if you watch really carefully, won't move, and then here, moves. Just that little bit. Now, if we run this, he will move that 1 time and then never again. And I can make this much larger so that we can really tell that he moved. There we go. So if we want this to run over and over again, think about this logically. The first time, movement 0. This is not true, doesn't run. Movement gets increased by 1. Movement is now 1, goes. Suddenly movement is 3, moves 1, and it goes to 4. This will never be true ever again. So if we want this to be true again, we're going to have to reset this movement variable. Movement equals 0. So now every 4 cycles, because 0, 1, 2, 3, that's 4, the turtle will move. So he's moving pretty slowly now. I mean, that's pretty suiting. He's a turtle, in fact. But for the sake of this video, we're going to just say move at the speed of 1, no matter what. So we're just going to get rid of this white spot and put it in there. We don't need this variable anymore. Okay. So our player moves forward once. But we want to change this. And we only want the player to move when we're pressing the space bar. So we can go into option. We can go into here, and we say help, and we go into the Greenfoot class documentation. We're going to be using this a lot. Here is a web page, or I guess a file, which shows us what we can do with all these Greenfoot things. So we have our actor, and this will show us all the methods we have in here, and we can actually look, this is where we get our move from. But I'm going to just look for something else right now. We're going to look for Greenfoot. And I know it's here because this is how it works. I prepared. What we have to do is we have to find this method. And our method that we're looking for is key down. And we can click it and find some more information about it. We check whether the given key is currently pressed down. Key name the key to check, returns true if the key is down. And that's exactly what we want. So, with what we learned, we say if, and we're referencing a class called Greenfoot, dot. We can press our control space, is key down, and our string, which is any word. We're going to say space. Then we're going to move him by 1. Oops, I forgot one of my brackets. It's important to match those brackets. And I'm not holding the space bar. Now I am. So the turtle only moves when we're pressing the space.